Welcome back for another edition of Bet here on Monday night. Another riveting Monday night football game we're about to encounter between the Patriots and the Bears. Oh my! Erin Dolan joining the show as well from Bristol, Connecticut. How you doing, Erin?
I am good. Ready to make some picks on this game tonight.
Let's do it. Now we're going to do something a little different to start the show because this NFL season has been quite bizarre. We're going to call this segment Question Marks. See what we did there? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thank you, our producer, Wyman. So I'm going to tee up a few questions. I want to have a little coffee talk, a little discussion in regard to some of the bizarre things that have happened in the NFL in the first 7 weeks of the season. So first and foremost, of course, we've got to start with the Bucs, right? I mean, they got their butts handed to them by Carolina yesterday. As we know, Tom Brady has not been vintage Tom Brady. I guess my question to you is, do you feel comfortable wagering on anyone in that division?
Absolutely not. I mean, when you think about it, you got the Bucs and the Falcons with the same record right now. That's not something we were thinking was going to happen heading into the season. And considering how many games we've seen Tom Brady just be such a large favorite and then end up losing the game, and it wasn't like yesterday he threw a ton of interceptions or played bad. I mean, he still had 49 attempts in that game in terms of passing. Obviously, we saw a couple of drop passes that were unfortunate. Mike Evans for one. But I think the Bucs just all around, they don't really have it right now. And I feel like they're kind of the Packers, which I know we'll get to in a little bit, in terms of just you're waiting for that game for them to turn things around. And then it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And I mean, look at those spreads. I mean, they're losing games outright like that. And clearly the odds makers, I mean, they're still giving them respect. They're a 13-point favorite over Carolina and lost outright. I mean, it's a bad scene right now. I personally would not be looking to back them in that division.
Yeah, listen, in regard to what's going on with the Bucs, I think this last week was a continuation of what happened with Tom Brady and the fact that he did leave on a Friday to come here to New York for Robert Kraft's wedding, did not fly back to Tampa on Saturday to attend the walkthrough and fly with the team to take on their opponent, yelling at the offensive lineman on national television. And then you hear Todd Bowles come out and say, listen, these guys can't cakewalk through a season and just anticipate that they're going to get back to the Super Bowl and win. It's very hard to lock and reload and to put that sacrifice in. And you need a leader like Tom Brady. And again, I know his personal issues are well documented, but there's so much wrong there. I don't trust this Bucs team. And oh, by the way, they take on the Ravens on Thursday night. That's not going to be an easy task. But I will tell you this, Erin, the Atlanta Falcons have the easiest schedule in all of the NFL moving forward. Arthur Smith and Marcus Mariota, I know that they got destroyed by Cincinnati last week, but they have something special going. Don't sleep on Atlanta, and you could wager that they win the division at plus 275. I'm just throwing it out there. The other big storyline as well is Aaron Rodgers. Not only did, of course, Tom Brady lose to Carolina, but now Aaron Rodgers loses to Washington and backup quarterback Heineke yesterday. I mean, and so now another veteran guy who I think we're anticipating both these dudes are going to be wearing gold jackets in Canton at some point in time are struggling. So what do you make of that division? The fact that the Green Bay Packers have lost 3 straight to the Giants, the Jets, and now Washington.
Yeah, everything kind of started in London when it was the biggest upset, obviously, when the Giants had won outright, and then they lost to the Jets. And then I had went on SportsCenter and multiple other shows saying this was a get-right spot for the Packers. They just can't be this bad. They're going against the Washington Commanders with a backup quarterback. The Commanders aren't good on offense or defense. And this was, of course, all on paper. The Packers are just as frustrating as Tampa Bay. Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, it's time to hang it up. You guys have accomplished so many things. So many things. At this point, why would you want to play like this? I personally thought it was a get-right spot, and then I was disappointed once again. So, I mean, the only real word is just disappointment. It's disappointment.
I saw what you did there because we usually play what's your word, and so yes, I can see it. That was clever. I saw what you did there, but here's the thing: I'm looking at this game with Aaron Rodgers, and it's just not the Aaron Rodgers that we've seen. I think a big reason, in my opinion, is not because of his age. It's because of what this team is about. He obviously doesn't trust his offensive line. He's throwing the ball too soon. The majority of his passes are less than 10 yards. He obviously doesn't trust the wide receiving core. Well, a lot of them are rookies. They're young. Obviously, Devontae Adams isn't there anymore. And here's another thing, Erin. He's not scrambling. Usually we'd see Erin get back there and scramble a little bit. He's not even scrambling. So it's a different offense. It's a different Aaron Rodgers that we're seeing play. By the way, here's something really interesting. Going up against the Buffalo Bills this coming week, this is the first time in the history of his career that he is a double-digit dog. You've got the Packers getting 10.5. I'm jumping on this line. Packers defense quite good against the pass. I'm not saying Bills are going to win. I just don't think they win by double digits. So that's a line that I do like. Let's move to our attention to the NFC East. Your team, the Eagles. Should we call them my team? I'm here in New York. I worked for the Giants for 7 years. I guess we could call them my team. But man, Rodney Dangerfield, no respect, absolutely. This is a Giants team. They're 6-1, which, by the way, 88% chance that they make it to the playoffs. Teams that are sitting at 6-1 right now have an 88% chance of making it to the postseason. We're talking about the Giants, who, really surprised a lot of folks, going up against the Jags in Jacksonville and coming home with a win. So you've got that on top of the fact you've got the Eagles. They're undefeated. You know how I feel about your Eagles. I've already put money down that they're going to go undefeated for the remainder of the season. So my question to you is, how are you playing this division? Are you believing in the Giants? Do you think the Giants have a shot of winning this division, Erin?
I don't think the Giants have a shot at winning the division. I still think the Eagles will be able to run away with it. I think the Giants have been really good at just getting the wins, and that's super important. It's not a spot we thought that they would be in. Of course, right now the Eagles are still undefeated. They had a bye this past weekend. And the one thing I have to mention, though, that is the downfall about the Eagles right now is they're ranked first in points scored in the first half of games, 21 points, okay, first in the league. In the second half of games, they're averaging 5.8 points. That's ranked 30th. The Eagles jump out to a quick start and try to sustain that, and they aren't able to really make adjustments in the second half of games to get the win. Although, or I should say, they can't really make adjustments in the second half to be able to put up points because other teams are adjusting. But that's going to be a downfall if they play a really good team that's able to kind of challenge them in the second half of games. So that's something I'm definitely looking to see if the Eagles fix over this bye week that they've had more time to prepare. But the Giants definitely deserve the respect. For what it's worth, they definitely do. I just think the Eagles overall will be able to win this division.
Yeah, listen, I do believe the Giants make it to the postseason. The probability, their percentage at 88% says so. Brian Dable is this is a family show. Of course, Mickey and Minnie are on our paychecks if you don't have direct deposit. So I'm going to say he's making chicken salad out of chicken poop as opposed to something else, I would say. This team is playing so hard for him, and we've got to give credit to Wink Martindale. For sure. The schematic defensive schemes that he's putting together, especially against Trevor Lawrence, who looked quite good yesterday, but couldn't get the job done. So I really do like this Giants team. And as I said before, I've already put money down that the Eagles go undefeated this season and win the Super Bowl. So there's that. Let's end this discussion with, is there a team you will not bet again the rest of the season? Or, is there a bet that you will not make again for the rest of the season?
I think it just comes down to not betting on the Packers or the Bucks. Everyone expected them to eventually just have a bounce back, be able to cover these numbers, and they just haven't been able to do it. They're not giving us a reason to really believe in them. I know sometimes we talk about situational betting and just thinking they can't be this bad. Sometimes teams are just that bad. So I'm going to stay away from the Packers and the Bucks for the time being until I see something change there.
So agree with you 50%. Like I said, I am going to play the Packers getting 10.5. I mean, just marinating that for a minute. Aaron Rodgers, a double-digit dog. So, but I'm with you in regard to the Bucs. There's obviously a lot going on here, whether it's personal issues, again, well documented. We're not breaking news here on Bet. And this team, I think offensively, defensively change. I love Todd Bowles. I just think he's a better defensive coordinator than he is a head coach, as hard as that is for me to say, because he really is a phenomenal human being. So I'm with you. I'm staying away from the Bucs. Let's turn our attention to this most riveting Monday Night Football game we are going to watch tonight. At least I'm going to watch it. Some local watering hole here in Hoboken, New Jersey. You've got the Chicago Bears going up against the Patriots. The Patriots now favored by 8.5. The line is up to 8.5. The over-under is at 40. How are you playing it?
This does feel like an under game, but I'm going to look at that second half total and go under 19.5 points. Surprisingly, the Chicago Bears are not terrible in the second half of games. Their defense is holding opponents to 5.8 points in the second half of game, which is the third best mark in the league. On top of that, both of these teams are really slow in terms of pace. So I think this could be a low scoring, slow game, and especially in that second half, the Chicago defense will be able to hold the Patriots down. I think the Patriots start off hot, put up some points in the first half, and then just kind of run the clock out, probably lean on the ground game in that second half, won't be putting up a ton of points. And then, of course, the Chicago Bears, I don't expect them to put up a ton of points. So I'm going to isolate that to the second half just because there's the edge of the Chicago defense being so good, and just go under 19.5 points for that second half total.
I like it. So we're both lock and step here in regard to the under. I'm going game total under 40.5 points. I'm also going to go Patriots team total under 24.5 points. I came across some interesting trends here. The Patriots, because I'm with you, I think, not a lot of points are going to be scored here. Weather conditions are supposed to be bad, cold, wind, rain, just miserable Monday night. But get this, Erin. The Patriots' time of possession, they average 30 minutes time of possession a game, and they're ranked 22nd in the league in plays per game. They also average 30 seconds between plays, which means they're averaging, a lot of minutes. They're not getting a lot of plays off in those 30 minutes, and they're eating up every second of the clock possible before they call their next play. As for the Bears, they have another slow pace of play trend where they rank 31st in the NFL in plays per game as well. So I just looking at those trends, I just don't think a lot of offensive plays are going to be called in this game where they're going to have the ability to put up all the points. So I'm going under team total points. I'm also going under in the total of the game. With that being said, a lot of times when we're watching a snoozer like this, we need some prop bets to get us through all four quarters. Erin, so feed the people. What are the prop bets you're on?
I'm going to go with Stevenson over 13.5 rushing attempts. I talked about the Patriots potentially leaning on the ground game, which is why I'm looking at the running backs. I know that Damian Harris is coming back, but sometimes he's a little bit inconsistent in terms of his numbers. But I do like the Stevenson prop for the main reason that he's hit over 13.5 attempts in the past 3 games. And yes, some of that is due to Damian Harris not playing in some of them, but I do think he'll be able to get over this number. Again, the Patriots lean on the run game, so I'm looking at the running back props for tonight, taking him over 13.5 rushing attempts.
Okay, so again, when we're talking about a snoozer like this, you know me, Erin. I've got, and we love the word plethora, right? I've got a plethora of prop bets for you. Let me start first and foremost with Justin Fields. Over passing attempts as well as over rushing attempts. He's averaging 9 rushing attempts a game. Also, he's been throwing the ball a lot more. 27 attempts against the Chargers his last game. And I do believe that the Patriots are going to load the box and force him to throw the ball. Mooney over 44.5 receiving yards. Well, he's playing 70% of the snaps. He had 12 targets and 68 yards his last game. And Santos, the Bears field goal kicker, over 4.5 points. This might be my best bet, Erin, because Fields is one of the worst quarterbacks in the red zone. They're only scoring on 36% of their time in the red zone. And so I think Santos is going to get a lot of work tonight. As for the Patriots, Stevenson over 2.5 receptions. Even with Harris expected to be back in that backfield, I still think the way that Stevenson has been playing the past 2 weeks, he deserves a minimum of 60% of the snaps. He's averaging 5 yards per catch. Also, the Bears defense has allowed 22 receptions to opposing running backs this season. Also, Myers, with Mac Jones expected to be starting, Myers is his favorite receiver, so I'm going over receptions for him. And Judon, I think, gets the sack. Why the Bears, one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL. They're allowing over 5.5 sacks plus turnovers a game. And I do believe that Justin Fields is going to be running for his life. So those are just a few of the prop bets that I'm going to dabble in on Monday night. As always, we like to talk about pay dirt picks. And we're talking about guys that we think are going to score touchdowns. This is going to be interesting because you and I are both on the under here. Let's look back before we move forward. You're kicking butt and taking names, that's for sure. Last week, you had Austin Eckler to score a touchdown. You laid $10. You got a return of $6.90, so you're almost at $140. Me, I'm taking long shots each and every week, and I'm losing my butt here, Erin. Gerald Everett didn't get it done. Cortland Sutton did not get it done, so I'm sitting a little under $90. Oh my! So help us out here, Erin. Who's scoring the 1 or 2 touchdowns that we're going to see tonight in the game?
I know, I feel like it's really slim pickings on this one, or Pickens, however you say it, but I'm going to go with Stevenson, put $10 on him, as well as Harris, $10 on him, just because, again, the Patriots, I think they lean on that run game, and then one of those guys will probably end up punching it in, you know what I mean? So we got Stevenson, who's got 2 touchdowns in last game against Cleveland. He's got 3 on the season. Meanwhile, Damian Harris, like I had mentioned, is back in for this game. He has had 3 touchdowns so far this season. So I couldn't pick between the 2, so I just decided to do both of them.
Okay, lockstep. I'm with you. Same thing. It's just, you've got more money to play around with than I do, right? Like you're shopping at Saks Fifth Avenue. I'm trying to find that say yes to the dress at TJ Maxx. So I'm going $10 on Stevenson to score a touchdown. I'm going $3 on Harris to score a touchdown. And I'm adding one more in. Just going to throw $2 on Pettis, wide receiver for the Bears. You know why? You've got Justin Fields with only 4 touchdown passes on the season. In 2 of the 4, you guessed it, Erin, I've gone to Pettis. So why not at plus 850? At plus 850, why not? Why not? I'm going to throw some coin on it. That about sums it up for us. Erin, I know you're in Bristol, Connecticut, kicking butt and taking names. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Enjoy the game tonight, and we'll see you on Daily Wager soon, my friend. So we say hasta la vista to Erin, and we bring in the one and only Joe Fortenbaugh. We go from Bristol, Connecticut to Las Vegas. Look at you with your shirt. I love it. Welcome in, man. How are you?
One note on that. I'm doing this in protest. I wanted to do the show with this unbuttoned, but apparently too much chest, I was told, so I'm buttoning up for the show. I'm doing it in protest.
Oh, wow. Okay. Maybe next time shave the chest hairs, and maybe you can get away with it. I don't know. But you just heard Erin and I.
The problem is I'm tan in the face, and then I'm very pasty on the chest. Very pasty. It doesn't balance well.
That's surprising for a dude who has a pool. Anyway, let's get to the game. Monday Night Football, you heard me and Erin talking about it. We gave our picks. What about yours? Give me a side and total, as well as a prop pick if you have one.
Yeah, so side and total, I heard you guys on the under 40. I would play that. I would play the Patriots on the side, minus the 8.5. And then I'd also look at the Bears team total under 15.5 points. So I'll throw all those out there, and then the analysis will all come together here. Chicago's not very good on the road this season. 0-3. They're averaging just 16 points per game. They're getting outscored by 10 points per game. All right, Bill Belichick is the master at making you play left-handed. Chicago wants to run the ball. He's going to stack the box to stop the run. He's going to force Justin Fields to pass. It's going to be a disaster. Now, on top of that, Chicago very weak against the run. So I'll throw a prop in here. Ramondre Stevenson over 62.5 rushing yards. I know you and Erin were talking about him scoring touchdowns and catching passes. I like him tonight. Harris is coming back, but I think Stevenson's done enough to warrant 12 to 15 touches in this game. And the Bears rank 25th or worse in almost every key rush defense metric. So all the way around, I'm going to play the Patriots minus the points. I'm playing the under. Bears team total under 15.5. Ramondre Stevenson over 62.5 rushing yards.
How have you you've been on the show for a good 3 minutes now. You haven't even made a comment about my Wacky for Zappy t-shirt. I'm wearing a Zappy t-shirt tonight. No Zappy, even though Mac Jones is expected to start. No Zappy.
See, that's the thing. I'm pissed off about that. I love the shirt, but I hate the fact that they're going back to Mac Jones. Bailey Zappe's been playing well. He's been playing well. It's not like Mac Jones is Aaron Rodgers coming back from injury, or Brady when Brady was good coming back from injury. He's Mac Jones. He's been okay. He's been solid. He deserves more time to grow, but Zappe's playing well. Ride the hot hand and see what you have there. So I see the t-shirt. I love the t-shirt. I just don't like the fact that this kid's not getting all the reps tonight.
Besides that being one of the storylines, you heard Erin and I talk about some of the bizarre, wacky other storylines out there in the NFL. What's the one that stands out to you the most, Joe?
You know, from a betting perspective this season, of all the storylines, and I'm just going to give you my personal viewpoint here, it's that I've been betting more props than ever before. I know that's going to endear me to you, as if I need to endear myself to you anymore. We've known each other forever. We're good friends. But I like betting props for a while, but this year I'm getting my butt kicked on 6-point teasers. Like, normally I have a great teaser run. Early in the season, it has not been very solid. Sides and totals are always very sharp, very difficult to beat. So I've been going into different markets, more first half betting than usual, more live betting than usual. But the prop market, it had my attention. I was always firing selectively. I've been playing a lot more in the prop market, and it's been going well. I feel like it's easier to beat if you're putting the time and the research in.
All right, Joe, let's turn our attention to college football. And before we get a play and a pick that you're eyeing already on a Monday for a Saturday, let's look at the Heisman futures odds and what's happening there, because in each and every week, obviously, it is a big topic of discussion. And just to kind of take a look, I'm assuming that I can't see them. There we go. So, obviously, Hooker there at 2-1, Caleb Williams in that USC offense, nobody can stop them. They're averaging, almost 80 points a game. Of course, I'm exaggerating there. Bo Nix, transfer portal working out for him at Oregon. Bryce Young as well. So taking a look at what these odds are, is there a player on this board that you are eyeing that you would lay, or you would run to the window? Not walk, but maybe run to the window to lay this futures on?
Of that specific list that you showed, not really. I think C.J. Stroud is priced accordingly. It's all going to come down to the Michigan game. If you feel that Ohio State cruises through Michigan and Stroud has a big game, get that price now, because he's going to end up being odds on by a mile. Bo Nix is a great story, but Oregon doesn't really have any marquee games the rest of the way, so I don't think enough people are going to see him on TV. Hendon Hooker's intriguing because at plus 200, they got Georgia next week. And in that situation, if they lose and end up with one loss, he might win the award because everyone feels bad that Tennessee gets frozen out. But 2-1 feels priced right. So what am I doing here? I'm sitting here giving you nothing. Oh, wait, let's go further down the board. Feed the people, as we say. Max Duggan, the quarterback at TCU, is 40-1. All right? TCU's winning every single game they play. If they run the table, Duggan's not going to be 40-1 by the time they get to New York. This has been an incredible story, and every week TCU is getting more and more love. Now, be careful laying the 7 on the road at West Virginia this week. A lot of people think it's a trap, but they still have Texas. They still have Baylor. If TCU runs the table and is undefeated, Max Duggan quarterbacking one of the highest scoring offenses in the country, he's not going to be 40-1 by the time we're voting.
I know you're looking ahead to Georgia. I'm going Hooker right now at 2-1, and I'm looking ahead to Kentucky. Follow me here. Fifth-year senior, 70% completion percentage, 91 QB rating, 18-1 TD interception ratio. This is a Kentucky team that he's going to face this week, who's had 2 weeks to prepare for him, and they are holding quarterbacks to 56% completion percentage. I'll tell you what. If he comes out and he has a great game against Kentucky, I think he jumps and he's at the top of the leaderboard. I love Hooker, and again, I would jump on those odds right now at 2-1 before they take on Kentucky. With that being said, what's the college game you are eyeing right now on Monday night?
So this is a bit awkward because I like Kentucky plus 12.5 points. And I don't know if this is just fancy producing to sandbag you like this or sandbag me like this, but here we are, you giving that great impassioned speech and me defecating all over it. I do like Kentucky plus the points in this situation. It's 12.5. This is a huge number for a team that with Will Levis at quarterback, they can score a lot of points. They got 2 weeks to get ready, as you mentioned, but the one thing you want to handicap here more than anything else, Tennessee is all about Hendon Hooker in the offense. That's what people realize. What they don't realize is the defense is terrible. The secondary's terrible. You can hang a big number on this team. And when we're talking about 12.5 points, you don't need to win the game if you're Kentucky. You just need to stay within striking distance. If you're down 17 late, a backdoor TD against this defense is more than possible to cover the number. So I will be on Kentucky plus 12.5. Hopefully I can cover that spread, and then Tennessee still wins. wins, and your hooker bet looks fantastic come Sunday morning.
All right. Well, thanks for syncing up the joint, Joe.
Yes,
appreciate you. Anyway, hey, listen, enjoy the Monday Night Football game. Always love doing the show with you, my friend. Have a great night.
Thank you for having me.
You got it. We go from Joe Fortenbaugh to the Puck Daddy. What a great nickname. Greg Wyshynski joins us here. Greg, welcome in. I know we touched on prior to the season starting. We were with you about 2 weeks ago in talking about what our expectations were. So we thought it'd be a good idea to bring you back 2 weeks later and kind of circle back and see where we stand right now. And let's start first and foremost. We asked you about Canada. That's right. Have not been able to get Stanley's Cup back over to their side. But man, the Flames have looked good, and now they've started so hot. They're second best odds right now to win after Colorado. So with that being said, is this a small sample size, or is this something of what's to come?
Yeah, no Stanley Cups in Canada since 1993 as an American. A fantastic run. Are the Flames for real? We're all still trying to figure it out, Anita. You know, they lost Johnny Gaudreau and Matthew Tkachuk during the offseason. Gaudreau signing with Columbus, Tkachuk traded to Florida. We're trying to figure out if this version of the Flames is better than last year's version of the Flames. And so far, so good on the ice in most cases. I will say, though, that they're 12th in expected goals.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think, unfortunately, some technical difficulties there. All right, I'm getting. We've lost Greg Wyshynski. We're going to try to get him back. But in the meantime, we typically like to end the show with, before I let you go. So we're going to move that up a little bit. And before I let you go, I want to talk about, of course, the World Series. And unfortunately, I'm here in New York for Yankee fans. Sorry, not sorry. They get swept by the Astros. Meanwhile, the Phillies, they advance. So we know who the two contenders are going to be. And of course, the first game is on Friday. I know it's Monday, but looking ahead, how am I going to play this series? Well, let's be honest. The Houston Astros are the better team, right? Top to bottom, I feel. Especially pitching and bullpen. But I don't want to lay 100. I don't want to lay 190. I don't want to lay $190 to win 100. So how am I going to play it? I'm going to play the Astros to win the series 4-2. And I'm going to get that at plus 375. Hear me here. Your heart might be rooting for the Phillies, but your pocket should be rooting for the Astros. Let's be honest. Again, they are the best team. They swept Seattle. They swept the Yankees. They steamrolled them. And as I said just a second ago, they check all the boxes. And really what this series is going to come down to is the Astros rotation right now in the postseason, 1.88 ERA. How about that? Meanwhile, the Phillies, their lineup right now, they're averaging over 5 runs per game. Bryce Harper has been tremendous. His batting average is .419. He's got 5 home runs, 11 ribbies in the postseason. He's been tremendous. That's really what it's going to come down to. I just think the Astros, they've been here, done that, got the free t-shirt twice in the past 4 years. More experience, veterans who've been there. Verlander, I think, is going to be a big key. And again, like I said, I think their bullpen is better with an 0.82 ERA. So I think the Astros win. And again, just value in regard to how they play that series, 4-2 at plus money. That's how I'm playing it. But we're going to go back to the Puck Daddy. He's back. And so we're thrilled. Greg Wyshynski again joining us here on Bet. So, Greg, just to kind of go back to what we were talking about, you talked about how, of course, what a pleasant surprise the Flames have been. What has been the biggest disappointment so far this season? I know it's a small sample size, but what has been a bad surprise so far this season in the NHL?
It's got to be the Vancouver Canucks, the NHL's only winless team so far. You got fans throwing jerseys on the ice. I saw a video of a fan barbecuing his jersey. They're so upset right now. It's going to be tough for them to climb out of this hole. They're missing Quinn Hughes, defenseman, week to week. They're missing a few other defensemen. Brock Besser day to day with an injury. They're just not gelling together on the ice right now, and I think they've got to be one of the biggest disappointments in the league.
All right, let's try to, as Joe just said, win the people, feed the people some picks, win them some money. Let's take a look at some of the games tonight. You've got Dallas. They haven't lost a game in regulation yet this season. Moneyline favorite against Ottawa tonight. The total is 6. What do you like here? How are you playing this matchup?
Well, I'm taking Dallas in the money line. Actually, it's interesting. Them and Buffalo are the only two teams right now in the NHL undefeated against the spread. But I'm going to take money line here against Ottawa. Ottawa is going to be without great center Josh Norris. He's going to be out of the lineup for a while. They're on their third string goalie, a guy named Magnus Hellberg, is going to make his 6th career start tonight for the Senators against the Stars. Dallas is going to have Scott Wedgwood, their backup, but he's a pretty strong goalie in my opinion. I like them against a banged-up Senators team on the money line.
All right, game number 2, you got the Penguins heading to Edmonton, right? They've scored 6 goals in each of their wins. Crosby's been unbelievable, 10 points in 5 games as well. They are plus 105 tonight. Also, the total is 6.5. Do you have a play in this one?
Well, I like Evan Bouchard on a shot prop over 2.5 shots. He's a defenseman for the Oilers. You can get it at plus money right now. But I got to say, I know there's a lot of people looking at the Penguins on the money line here because they're the second best 5-on-5 team in the league so far this season. But here's the thing, Anita. The Oilers are not going to shoot as poorly as they have all year. They're last in the NHL in 5-on-5 shooting percentage. That's not going to be sustainable. They're bound to break out at some point. It could be against the Penguins. So I'm looking player prop more on this one than I am betting against the Oilers.
Great stuff as always, Greg. So appreciate you. Enjoy the games later on tonight.
Thanks for having me.
You got it. Greg Wyshynski, the Puck Daddy. I want to thank Erin Dolan, Joe Fortenbaugh, Greg as well for joining us. Everybody, enjoy the Monday Night Football game. Hopefully we gave you enough prop bets to really thoroughly enjoy it. Good luck. Good luck betting.